Hi guys, welcome to another video. In the other tutorial, I showed you how to make the pattern for this tutorial, and I also showed you how to cut this on your fabric. And in this video, I will be showing you how to put all of this together and make a very nice looking senator top and trousers. Now, once you have cut all your patterns on your fabric, the next thing we're going to do now is to start making our stitches. Now, this piece you see right here is what I am going to use as the placket design, and as you can see, it is 10 inches in length and the width of this is 6 inches. And you can see that I drew a line at the middle, which means one side is 3 inches and the other side is 3 inches, making it 6 inches. Now, as you can see, I have a line down here at the bottom, and this is about 1 inch for folding in. Now, one thing you need to know is that you can decide to make one side 3 inches and you can decide to make the other side 5 inches. It just depends on how big you want your placket to be. Now, next thing I am doing is I am taking ½ inch on both sides from that center line. I am just marking ½ inch on both sides. Now I am going to fold in ½ inch right here at the top of my fabric, and I'm going to iron this down. Now I'm going to be taking 5 inches for my placket opening. Now, because of that ½ inch I folded in at the top, it's going to be 5.5. So my placket opening is 5.5 inches. Now you can make yours 4 or 6 inches depending on how big the person's head is. Now I'll take my front fabric and I'm going to fold it over. I'm going to fold the center front over and I'm going to go on and iron this so I can get that center of my neckline fold. So now that I have that center fold, I'll take my placket and I'll place that center line of my placket on that center ironed part of my front fabric. As you can see, make sure that it matches. Now I'll fold this ½ inch over and I'm going to follow the guideline on the guideline mark that I placed on my placket. I'm going to stitch all the way like this and all the way back up. Now from right here, I am going to take ½ inch upwards and I'm going to make a triangle to the both edges. Now I am going to cut and follow that guideline mark. Now, as you can see, I have ironed ½ inch at the top, ½ inch at the sides, and also that center part so that it will be so much more easier to work with. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this ½ inch and I'm going to fold it over and meet this right here. Now, you're going to take this to your sewing machine, but before that, I'm just going to go on and pin these down. And I am also going to do the same for this other part. Take it and fold it over like this and pin. Now I am going to measure that placket opening that I mentioned. Remember I said my placket opening is 5 inches. Now I am going to mark that on both sides of my placket. Now what we're going to do right now is we're going to take this to the sewing machine and we're going to stitch and stop right at that 5 inches mark. Now what we're going to do right now is we're going to reduce the bulkiness of this part, and I'm just going to do it like this. You can just eyeball it and do it at however you want. As you can see, I am taking 3 inches from the bottom upwards, and I'm just going to reduce this whole much. Now you need to make sure this part is laying flat inside like this, and I'll place this over that, and I'll also place this over. At this point you can just go on and start making your stitches, but I want mine to have a little bit of design, so I will bring in my bias tapes and I'm going to just place this over this part, and I will stitch up at both edges. I'll stitch all the way from top to bottom at this edge, and I'll stitch all the way from top to bottom at the other edge. Now I'll also place my bias tape at the other edge of my placket, and I'll stitch on both sides, and I'll start making the stitches now. Now once you get to the bottom of that placket part, you're going to make a fold in like this. Fold in the placket and also fold in the bias. Now you're going to fold over, just follow what I am doing, and you're going to have a perfect placket shape. You can, at this point, you can just give your placket any kind of shape you want, and that is what you're seeing me do. And I'm just going to go on and stitch the other side and also add the other bias tape, and I would also sew it down. Now this is very important. While sewing the other edge of your bias tape, you need to make sure that this little triangle piece on the inside stays in like this. Just bend it over like this and take this in, and then take this placket and lay it over that piece, and then place this over like this, and you're going to just continue making your stitches. Now once you get to the bottom, fold in your placket and also fold in your bias inside and stitch. Now once you get to that placket opening, we need to make a straight stitch at that point. Now this is how you're going to do that. Just a straight stitch to the other side of the placket, and that is it. That is that. Now this is what the placket is looking like right now. Now I will just go on and finish this other bias tape part that I didn't get to finish. Now what I am doing here is I am biasing the neckline of my top. If you do not know how to make a bias neckline, I have a tutorial on how to do that using a fabric and not a bias tape, and you can as well just go on and watch the video. And as you can see, I am done biasing this part of the neckline, and I am also going to go on and bias the other side of the neckline. And that is that for the front placket opening. You can see how easy and simple that is. Now for the back, I am going to place my yoke to the wrong side of my fabric. Now it is going to be the good side of your yoke to the wrong side of your fabric, and stitch by half inch around the neckline. Now I am just making notches so as to have an easy turn over. Now once you're done turning this over, you're going to fold half inch at the back, fold half inch at the back right here, and you're going to stitch from one side to the other side. Now once you're done doing that, next thing you're going to do is to place the good sides of your front to the good sides of your back, and you're going to stitch the shoulders together, and we're going to do this in such a way that the shoulder joining seam is not going to be showing on the inside. Now we're just going to place the front, this front fabric at the joining of the back to the yoke, this joining. We're going to place that front fabric like this, or you're just going to twist that back over like this, and you're just going to pin. Just make sure nothing is moving and everything is in place. And I'll take this to the sewing machine and I'll show you how I would do the other side again. Now as you can see, I am done stitching, and I will turn this over and I will show you what it looks like on the inside. Now as you can see, there are no stitches showing on the inside of my fabric. Now for the other side, we're just going to go on and do the same thing. So what I basically did was place the good side of my front fabric to the good side of my back fabric, and I'll make sure that it lays at the neckline joining part of my back fabric. Now I'll take my back fabric and I'll twist it over to the front like this, and you're just going to make sure that you pin and make sure it's not moving around, and you're just going to go on and make your stitches, and it's very simple and easy, as you can see. And once you're done making your stitches, you would have no seam showing on the inside of your top. Now moving on, we're going to start attaching our sleeve, and we're just going to start attaching our sleeve like this, and sew by 1/2 inch. Now at the sleeve opening, you're just going to double fold by 1/2 inch, and you're just going to start sewing. Now at the bottom hem of my back, I am going to make a double fold and I am going to stitch, and I am also going to do the same for the front. Now as you can see, we are done attaching the sleeves and we are done sewing the bottom hems. Now what we're going to do is we're going to place the good sides of the front to the good sides of the back like this. Now what we're going to do is from the bottom upwards, we're going to take 3.5 inches or 4 inches for the opening of the top. Now once you've taken this 4 inches, you're going to do the same thing on the other side. Now we're going to go and make stitches from the sleeve all the way to the side seam, and sew and stop at that opening mark. Now as you can see, I have done just that, and this is how you're going to stitch this open part. You won't leave it like this. Now you're just going to fold, double fold this in like this, just like this, double fold it and start making your stitches. This is just self-explanatory. Just watch and you would understand what I am doing. Now once you're done, your opening should look more like this on the inside, and you can go on and overlock all the other rough parts, all the other rough seams. Now on the good side of your opening, it should be looking as neat and nice as this. Now I am going to go on and do the same for this other opening part of my top. The best way to do this to have a neat finishing is make sure you leave your needle inside of your fabric and lift the foot and turn your fabric. Now I will do the same thing again. Leave the needle inside of your fabric and lift the foot and turn your fabric, and this way you would have a neater finishing. And now that we are very much done with the top, we're going to move to the trouser part. Now as you can see, this is my trouser, this is my pants, and I have marked my 1/2 inch seam allowance on both sides, as you can see. And also make sure you do the same for the other pants fabric. And as you can see on the other pant, I marked my 2.5 inches for putting in elastic. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start stitching this pants like this. Just place the wrong sides of both pants together like this. And what we're going to do is stitch on that marked seam allowance that we placed all the way to the crotch part. Now as you can see, I am done stitching and I stopped right on the crotch part. And what we're going to do now is we're going to fold this over like this. Fold this over like this, and we're going to stitch all the way to the crotch part. Now before stitching, it is best to pin this down so you don't end up having rumples or folds on the folded part of your pants. Now I am stitching this pants this way because I want it to be really firm. Now I am going to go on and do the same thing on this part, just like I have done on this side. I'll go on and start stitching right about now. Just because these sides are not supposed to be at the side, they're going to be at the middle. Now open up your pants like this so that the crotch can be at the middle, as you can see. Now we're going to go on and stitch the bottom hem of our pants. Now remember the notches we made on our pants, as you can see. Make sure to double fold and get to exactly where that notch is. Now once you're done folding in, you're going to stitch that bottom hem and make sure you do the same for the other leg opening. Now as you can see, I am done stitching and I am going to go on and stitch from one end to the crotch and to the other bottom part of my pants, thereby joining the center part of my pants. Now what is left to do is to sew this elastic part. Now we're just going to double fold and get to that elastic allowance that I placed on my pants, and as you fold, make sure when you're stitching you leave a little bit of hole right here so as to pass your elastic through. Now I'll go on and stitch all the way around this fold. Now as you can see, I am done making all the stitches and I left a hole right there, and I'm going to start inserting my elastic using this safety pin. Once you're done inserting your elastic through the hole, make sure you pull the elastic, and this way you can figure out the amount of elastic you want to use as you pull. As you can see me doing, I am basically just pulling the elastic and trying to figure out how tight I want it to be. Now once you have figured out exactly how tight you want it to be, just go on and put your elastic together and make a very tight stitch right there. Now as you can see, I have stitched and I have cut off the excess. Now put this into the hole and you're just going to go on your sewing machine and close this left out hole up. This way you are done with your pants, and as you can see, it is looking all beautiful and nice, and this is how to make a little child's pants. Very easy and simple and beautiful. And do not forget to add your clippings on your plackets. This way when your top has been worn, it would stay laid and slayed. And we have come to the end of this tutorial, guys. Do make sure you give this video a thumbs up, and do subscribe for more exciting and detailed tutorials like this, and I will be seeing you in more exciting videos. See ya.